What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring people to do better, look better, love better every damn day of their lives. And our Tuesday night show, brought to you by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar. Was just there Monday night, had some outstanding beverages, a little bit of a meal. Just a great menu there. Great place to watch sports. Caught a little bit of Serena's Swan Song, and good place to watch the MSU game or any college football or Premier League action or anything. If you can't actually be at the game, that's just north of Frandor on East Saginaw in Lansing. Great happy hour specials, great game day specials, all sorts of good stuff. Go to caskandcompany.com to check out their updated menu. Jason, how you doing, man?
We had him on a-hole a lot.
I like beverages. What's up, buddy? Serena lost?
No.
Did I miss something today?
No, it's like
you're saying her farewell U.S. Open.
Her farewell U.S. Open. Sorry, yeah. She might lose the next round, but she won last night.
Nice.
It was good. I did lose money on tennis today. Won last night, lost today. I'm done with the U.S. Open betting because
You're not. It's still early.
Right, but that's why I got to get out now.
You're going to say you're going to get out, but there's going to be a match that you really like. You have an edge on. You think you'll be back.
I don't.
It's
know.
like your Twitter thing that you get on and say, I'm going on vacation. I'll be back.
Too much changes. Like today, it's like noon, and I'm working, and I'm like, tennis is on in the background. Who's about to play? Sloane Stephens versus somebody Meta, blah, 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 blah. And
That's
I'm like,
how it starts.
So I put a little on Sloane Stephens, and then she's getting clobbered 6-0 in the first set. And I put a little on the other person.
Hedge.
Big time hedge. And then Sloane Stephens wins the next two sets, and I lose just about every bet I made on both sides somehow because I had Sloane Stephens to win in two sets. And then I had a little money on Chelsea on the Firekeeper's Eye Casino and Sportsbook app, and Chelsea is ass, and they lost to Southampton
But
today.
back to the U.S. Open, I can't rip on you because I watched Andy Murray play. I had it on in the background, and I was like, man, he played really well. And I had a hunch, and I had a free bet, and there we go. 100-to-1 shot.
And there are times where you watch it and you're going, this is, and you can see the momentum. I'm somebody who's played and watched a lot of tennis in my life. You can tell when things aren't going right or are going a certain way usually, and I'm not saying it's a bad sport to bet on. I remember my friend Dan Kilbridge, who a lot of people are familiar with. Man, he used to bet on like Asian tennis at 4 a.m. Random tournaments in November and make a lot of money.
That's like Harry.
Yeah, you learn a sport well that other people aren't paying attention to, and you can make a lot of cash.
But you have to watch a sport that's boring, though. I mean, unless Dan liked it.
Nothing's boring if you have enough money on it.
That is true. That's why I was watching a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
Like last night, Garrett Mitchell. I had a premonition. I know no one will believe me, but I was watching the Brewers game last night. Garrett Mitchell had his family there and was up to bat in the top of the ninth or something like that. And I go, he's going to hit a home run. I know he's going to hit one. Sure as shit. There's no point to the story. No.
Oh.
No, I'm just saying you can have those gut feel. I always like that, like we always say, going with a gut feel, you have to kind of do it because if you don't, there's what if. You always have to do it.
So
sprinkle something on it.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we got what I think is going to be a good show today. We're going to have Robin Hook on, the play-by-play voice of Western Michigan. Been doing it a long time, seen a lot of good teams, seen a lot of Western Michigan teams against Michigan State teams and against other high major teams. Like he kind of knows what he's looking at in terms of what a team's chances are of winning this game. And there are variables that have to be in play for an upset. Now, I don't believe MSU is a very good team to try to upset. Like what usually helps, having covered Western Michigan, by the way, when I lived in Kalamazoo.
No kidding.
What usually helps is the team that Western Michigan is playing has to have some sort of limitation offensively. Like when West Virginia had Pat White and those guys, it didn't work out well for Western Michigan playing down there. But when Western Michigan would play Virginia that was limited, or I forget who they beat. They beat UConn. They beat somebody else. They almost beat a Florida State team like 28-20 that was a team that couldn't run away from them offensively. They beat an Iowa team, one of, not surprisingly, Iowa football, the same Iowa program you see now, same coach. They beat an Iowa team that wasn't going to run away from you offensively, and they had some offensive weapons. Bada boom, bada bing, that's how it happens. You've got to have marquee offensive weapons as a mid-major, a quarterback who can make plays, and then the opponent can't be so good offensively that you're screwed. And I think MSU's probably got a little too much offensively to make this
But the real
happen.
question is, are they going to cover the 22.5? I mean, that's all anyone cares about.
And here's the problem with that is they may be more than that better than Western Michigan. But we've just seen a lot of Michigan State openers over the years.
We've seen too much.
Where that doesn't, even good MSU teams don't look polished early enough to do that. And so I don't feel great about advising people on that. I don't think it's a bad teaser if you can bring it down.
17.5.
Even, I would. Boy, you can't get it south of 14, can you? This is a line I would love if it was south of 14. It's just not.
Yeah, 13.5. I'm all over it. But that's why they're Vegas.
And you can do 10-point teasers. You don't win as much, and you got to pick other games. But there are 10-point teasers out there, and that to me is a really good teaser. If you can get a 10-point teaser out there where it brings it down to 12.5, I think it's a great line.
I mean, I trust this Michigan State team against Western. It's just like you said. It's opening night, might be rusty. The 22.5 seems a little heavy.
Well, and I'll have a better sense of this once we talk to Robin. I've talked to some people. He'll be pro Western, but you'll get a sense of it. I've talked to Robin enough through the years that
we'll Brent Musburger usburger used to do. Before gambling was legal, he'd always slip it in there, and if you were a gambler, you knew what he was talking about.
Absolutely. There are times.
What side Musburger had on it.
There are really, do they have a receiver who can cause MSU problems? And I don't know that they do. They've had the last 2 years, they've had second-round draft pick receivers. Like, they've had that guy. And we've seen Western teams that have that guy. I don't know that they do right now. You got a young quarterback. But they've replaced some quarterbacks really well in recent years. So maybe they're okay there. Those are the things you don't really know. And I think that's what – and, again, the things that we'll learn this week are, like, if Michigan State's offensive line pushes Western around, that'll be good news for MSU. It won't prove they're okay because you got to be able to move the pile against Wisconsin and Minnesota and teams like that. But if they struggle to run it and they struggle to hold up against Western's defensive line, then you've got a problem. Like, those are the things you learn that are definitive this week. You really can't learn anything that's sure on the good front yet. I mean, it's better that it looks smooth.
That's why you don't jump ahead to Washington. Yeah, right? You have to sit there and go, well, let's see what they do against Western.
And then Akron. Akron, I think, is going to be bad. Akron, there might be opportunities to make money. We'll see if Vegas is on how bad Akron is. Before we get to Robin Hook here, so I'm trying to think of other things I wanted to touch on. One was doing a piece on Alan Haller a year later, sort of talking about, talked to him on Friday about the state of different things, television money, what that'll do for the department, Spartan Stadium, the fan experience, and there are a few things that stood out, and a lot I'll get into in the piece, which should be up tomorrow morning.
They're going to have beer this year, or is it next year?
No, but they are moving full speed ahead with that. Like, they are putting all the things in place so when that law is changed, and that Michigan and Michigan State can have beer at the stadium, they're ready to go next year. Like, so
kegs ready.
I think they'll be rolled out fast. They are going to get to the bathrooms. They're going to work on things in terms of, like, more NFL style grab and go, with concessions to help limit congestion. They also want to do more with Spartan Stadium. They want to have it, maybe at some point have like a restaurant in there. More people able to use it year round. Concerts. If you want to have a wedding there, you could pay to have it done.
Jeez.
And if you read between the lines, and I know there's this sort of thing there that people get upset because of the turf management program. But
who gets upset?
The turf management people.
Oh.
But they're going to have I'm going to tell by a year from now, I would be very surprised if Michigan State does not have an artificial turf field again.
But you can't be a turf expert.
Well, the thing is, I don't even think the turf management people do Michigan State's field. So they have this great program, and they, going way back to the turf. They did the real grass and the Pontiac Silverdome for the World Cup in 94 and all that stuff. And it's a renowned program. But I think it's MSU Athletics that does all its own grass for the stadium. You cannot fully use a stadium like that for more than football if you're on a natural grass field. You just can't. The field gets too beat up. You can't have big concerts. You can't have other functions. You can't have commencement things. There's just things you can't do. And so I would be very surprised if it's not.
And that would be interesting, like what big musical acts would come if they play Spartan Stadium.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
There'd be opportunity. There's all sorts of opportunities. If they had a really cool restaurant in Spartan Stadium, it's a place with parking. It's in the middle of campus.
It would be too fancy, though.
Only
like Tim Stout and his people of his ilk would be able to go.
Yeah, but you can't be so fancy that people don't show. Like, I don't want to,
Right.
If the Rube isn't welcome, it's no restaurant for me.
Yeah.
But
you got to white trash it up a little bit.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm going to wear a collar, but jean shorts with it.
Yeah, I mean, if
I'll be respectful.
So anyway, I think that was one of the interesting things we talked about. A number of other things in terms of when the money comes in from the TV contract over the next few years. It's not as much early as it is in a few years. But he just talked about you're going to be able to see people's priorities, and that's going to be really fascinating. The things you have to hold schools to, because a school can talk a big game, but when the money comes in, where you put that money and the resources and time and what you choose to do says a lot about you. And it'll be very interesting to see what a lot of schools in the Big Ten do, Michigan State included. I'll get into that in a column that'll be up Wednesday morning in the Lansing State Journal. You want to give Robin a shout here really quick. While he's doing that, a reminder: if you've never been to Front 43 or Cask and Company, it's a great vibe. It's two different places, adjoining restaurants, one menu. One is, I would say, Cask and Company. If you're looking for a date night, or is probably the better spot. Although I love it at Front 43, and that's a cool like pub vibe with a great television setup. Terrific TV setup also, though, at Cask and Company in Front 43, where you're able to see the game from any angle, but the TVs don't overwhelm you, which I think is important in certain settings. Great place to watch a game. And fantastic menu, sort of modern Asian-American menu, from sushi bowls to burgers to flatbreads, all sorts of outstanding stuff. That's Cask and Company in Front 43, just north of Frandor on East Saginaw in Lansing. Very happy now to be joined by the longtime voice of Western Michigan athletics, somebody I've known quite well, and very nearly at one point could have had a different career path and been the voice of the Red Wings, as I recall. Robin Hook, how you doing?
Graham, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been a long time. This will be my 39th year calling Bronco football.
That was the Red Wing story we did a long time ago, and I did a piece on you. You thought that was going to happen at one point in early in your career, correct?
Yeah. So I got a call to go over an interview with Mike Ilitch and Atanas Ilitch. I had just taken my new position at Western Michigan after working in Kalamazoo radio for 11 years, and Bruce Martin had retired from the Red Wings, and I didn't want to send anything in until he was officially done. And when they were out of the playoffs, I sent in my audition tape and didn't hear anything until about a couple of weeks before Red Wing training camp was about to start, and they hadn't named a radio guy yet, and there was a lot of speculation about who it was going to be. And I got a call from the Red Wings asking me to come down and talk to Mike Ilitch and Atanas Ilitch. And I interviewed with them, and it was a wonderful visit. What a great guy, Mike Ilitch, a wonderful man. And he thought I sounded like Dan Kelly, who's in the National Hockey League Hall of Fame as a broadcaster, and I was very honored to be considered in the same realm as that guy. And so we got done with the interview, and I said, so when do you plan to make the announcement? And he said, pretty soon. And I said, well, how many are you interviewing? And he said, 2, you and another guy. Oh, the other guy happened to be Ken Cal, the longtime voice of the Michigan Wolverines. And Kenny got the job, and congratulations to him, because he's been fabulous for 27 years as the voice of the Detroit Red Wings.
Well, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation if that had happened. So it's our win. Their loss and our win, Robin.
Everything happens for a reason, and it's been great. I've loved my role at Western Michigan as a voice of the Broncos, and I get to call football, hockey, basketball, and baseball. So it's been a lot of fun.
No, that is. I mean, I think the sort of the eclectic nature of not just doing one sports, getting all that stuff is cool. I want to get a sense of you, from you, of this Western Michigan team, and you've been around a lot of them. You've seen what it takes to be competitive in this sort of matchup, the type of playmakers it takes, the type of veterans where you need them, the components you need from the opponent, the flaws here and there, and things like that. When you look at this Western Michigan team, and they've had lost 2 straight, receivers who were second-round NFL draft picks. They've gone through some quarterbacks. I know they like the kid now, but you're still dealing with a redshirt freshman. Is this the sort of team that has a shot to go into Spartan Stadium and put up a fight?
I think so for 2 reasons. Because this team is built around their defense. It's an outstanding defense that was really good last year, and I think has a chance to be even better than they were a year ago. And they can run the football, Graham. They've got 2 great backs. A lot of Mid-American Conference teams have one back that is very heralded, but the Broncos have 2, and Sean Tyler and former Spartan Ladarius Jefferson. And it is the best 1-2 punch at running back in the Mid-American Conference. And throw in Zaire Abdus-Salam, a young man from New Jersey who's the number 3 guy back there. They've got a very good running game. And the offensive line that's been rebuilt a bit, that's more athletic than a year ago, and they had a bunch of bulldozers up front. Now they've got some more athleticism up front on the offensive line. The fact that you can run the football and play defense when you're breaking in a new quarterback, that's about as good as it gets.
The Corey Crooms kid, the receivers, is he going to be their top guy this year? And is he? I mean, you've seen a lot of number ones there, and a lot of. I mean, frankly, Western Michigan's had better number ones in a lot of ways than Michigan State since in the last 15 years in terms of just a number of high NFL draft picks. Is he a guy who can give defenses trouble if they're keying on him?
Well, the next first-round draft pick who suited up for the Broncos is wearing green and white, and that's Jaden Reed.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Outstanding, and he was just unbelievable as a true freshman for the Broncos, and then decided to transfer and landed at Michigan State, and he's just a tremendous young man. We didn't know him as Jaden. We knew him as Bird, and that's all we called him, and he was unbelievable. Freshman All-American, and then we thought his former high school teammate Peyton Thorne was going to join him here at Western Michigan, and for a time it looked like he was, and then lo and behold, they both end up at Western Michigan and are arguably 2 of the best players on that roster. So it will be fun to see them competing, and I know the Broncos look forward to that opportunity. But, wide receiver has been a good position for the Broncos. When you have the 5th overall pick in the draft come out of Western Michigan and Corey Davis, and you got a guy like Sky Moore who's been the talk of preseason camp in Kansas City, and Corey Crooms is kind of the next in line, and he's a little different receiver. He's a slot guy who, will catch a lot of balls, and it's yards after the catch for Corey Crooms. Or you're going to see a couple of transfers who I think have a chance to have an impact, in Jelani Galloway from Boston College and A.J. Abbott, who has some experience in the Big Ten at Wisconsin. Those 2 guys mixed in with Corey, and some of the young guys like Kavion Mack and Anthony Sambucci, who've been learning the system as young players in the Western Michigan offense. I think the Broncos will have a pretty deep wide receiver unit before it's all said and done.
Yeah, I do think one of the things that they like with Jeff Thorne is the coordinator, and obviously there's a long track record of doing this well at Western, is the idea of, even if one guy is keyed on being able to feature them and get them in the open spots, and that's something they've done well over the years. So I'm curious to see what Corey is. Want to ask you about Ladarius a little bit. I actually chatted with him today for a piece I'm doing later in the week, and a guy who was at Michigan State for a year and a half. really gave up a year of eligibility, interestingly enough, to play one more game against Ohio State with his teammates before leaving, because he could have left when before his 4 games were up. What has he been there? And at that level, you talk about him and Tyler as the best 2 backs right now, the best combination in the MAC. What makes those 2 guys special, and what has Ladarius been for Western?
Well, Sean Tyler's kind of an electric back, speed guy, smaller, very fast. Ladarius has that power to run inside. But I'll tell you, I've watched Ladarius in practice this year, and I think he's in the best condition that he's ever been in his football playing career. And, he can run too. He's not a slow guy. He's a powerful guy inside, but you look at him physically, I think he's changed his body a little bit. I think he's got an opportunity at the next level, and because of his size and his strength, but his speed has improved, and you've put him in there with Sean Tyler. And the other thing about Ladarius, that guy can catch the football, and they're going to use him in that role as a receiver out of the backfield. Same with Sean Tyler, but Ladarius in particular can really catch and run the football. So I think you're going to see that out of Western Michigan's offense with Jeff Thorne. Jeff, what a great story. His dad, John Thorne, is an absolute legend in the state of Illinois as a high school coach and later on as a college coach. And then, so he's known in Illinois as the son of the legendary John Thorne, and he's known in Michigan as the dad of the quarterback of the Michigan State Spartans. But in Kalamazoo, he's known as the offensive coordinator for Western Michigan, and we're really excited to have him, and I'm excited to see what this offense can do with him calling the plays.
Yeah, no, Jeff and I bonded over, he was at North Central in Naperville at Division III level for a long time, and he coached a guy, Kyle Kniss, who I covered in Freeport, Illinois, at Eastland Pearl City. And so we bonded over they recruited that area quite a bit, and so we bonded over the names of some of my early 2000s high school coverage at back in Western Illinois. And yeah, no, I think he is that. What people forget is a lot of times the people who stay in Division III football are great football minds. They just prefer that lifestyle. And like Tim Lester, who's obviously the head coach at Western Michigan, I know for a while he went to be the head coach at Elmhurst because of his son and because of a lifestyle choice at a certain point when he left Western Michigan initially. So I think people sometimes underestimate why people are at a certain level for as long as they are.
Yeah, family's important to Tim. He's got 4 wonderful sons, and yeah, they were young at the time when he made that decision to remain or to return from the Division I level back to the Division II, Division III level. And then once it became time to move on, he went to Syracuse and then to Purdue and got his experience at the Power 5 level and made him a very viable Division I head coach. And he's done a great job at Western Michigan. He had a tough act to follow, coming off an undefeated regular season and a Cotton Bowl berth. And he's jumped right in there. And now this is the first team that everyone on the roster is a Tim Lester recruit. And he's excited to be able to trot this team out there starting Friday night at Michigan State. And I know because they have an untested quarterback that a lot of people aren't expecting as much out of Western Michigan as maybe they have in the past. But I think with their defense and their running game, to go with who I think will be a very good quarterback before it's over, Jack Salopek, I think the Broncos will be a significant player in the Mid-American Conference this season, and it wouldn't shock me if they won it all.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me either if Salopek winds up becoming that guy. The question always is when it's your, and I know he played last year against Pitt. Like it's not like he's never been on the field in a big setting. The question obviously is when it's your team and you're a young guy, how quickly you're able to make it all work and really not make mistakes either, which is hard to do. So if you had to I don't know if you're comfortable with predictions, but if you had a sense of where you think this game will go Saturday, what sort of game it'll be, and what the rough score would be at late, what would you say?
Well, I normally don't pick scores. What I will say is I think Michigan State fans are going to see a competitive Western Michigan team that's going to go in there and play hard. I'm telling you, this defense is pretty good. They were number one in the MAC in total defense a year ago. And Graham, they were number 2 in the nation in third down defense. Opponents against the Bronco defense on third down converted less than 30% of the time, which is an amazing statistic. Number 2 in the nation. They lost 2 players off that defense, and they gained 2 starters who didn't play at all last year due to injury. So when they filled the gaps of the 2 starters on the defensive front, and they return all of their linebackers, and they're 4 deep at corner, and they're deep at safety. All of their starting linebackers are back. They have more depth in the linebacker role and in the defensive line area. So I think that the defense is going to keep them in a lot of games, and the fact that they can run the football and maybe shorten the game a little bit, like we've seen other teams in the Mid-American Conference do. Northern Illinois comes to mind. That's how you win football games. And I'm not saying that the Broncos can beat Michigan State because they're an outstanding football team with a tremendous defense, maybe the best D-line in the Big Ten. But I think that defensively the Broncos can hang with most teams in the Mid-American Conference for sure, and that'll keep them in games with an opportunity to win at the end. We'll see what happens on Friday night. Michigan State's a really good team, and with this transfer portal, I mean, who knows what Michigan State has or what Western Michigan has for that matter, because there are so many new players that are going to go out there on the field, and people are going to say, who are these guys? But, Michigan State has transfers from Alabama and Georgia and Florida and Colorado and Wisconsin, and same with Western Michigan. They have transfers from Purdue and Michigan State and Wisconsin and Boston College, and it's just a crazy world we're living in right now, and who knows what's going to show up on Friday night.
Robin, I look forward to seeing you Friday. I appreciate the time. It's always good to hear your voice.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
That's Robin Hook, the voice of the Broncos for a long time, guy I knew well back in my days in Kalamazoo, where I lived, by the way, Jason.
No kidding.
Yeah, in case you didn't know.
Sounds like Robin is going to win us a lot of money or lose us a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm taking
defense.
I'm taking Michigan State.
Really?
So here's the thing, and I know Robin Hook's. See, the reason I wanted Robin on, a couple things. One, he knows there is no version of me anymore there, and I didn't mean to. That did not sound humble, but what I mean by that is they don't really have a traveling beat guy for the Kalamazoo Gazette or anything covering the team. If they did, so Robin is going to be the most knowledgeable media voice covering them by a long shot.
There's 1,000 yous. There's only one of me.
But
need me back.
So
you're taking State, given the 22 and a hook then?
I haven't decided I'm going there yet. But
he just talked about the defense, and they can run the ball well, which means they can run the clock.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
But there's certain codes, and I was listening for it with Robin. Like I know Robin.
Well, I was way off then.
I'm reading the tea leaves of Robin.
Okay.
Because Robin's not going to come on here and say Western Michigan has no shot.
You can't. Can you really? If you're doing the game though, can you give a score?
Probably not. I was trying to bait him into it. And so
he's like, I don't do scores.
Yeah.
So like, you can't blame him.
I mean, he literally works for the university. Like he's not going to. But here's the code, and there are formulas for these games, and it's not that the game can't be close because Western has a good defense, but for that to happen, Michigan State has to be less than we think they're capable of, which is possible.
Right.
But I do not like. One of the points he made was a really good one at the end when he was talking about the transfers. And if you listen to the schools, he said, because Western Michigan's got transfers up and down their roster too at different spots. But it's like Michigan State has guys who didn't quite make it or wanted more time from Georgia and Alabama and Florida. And Western Michigan has time, guys from Purdue and Boston College who wanted more time. It's a step down, right? They're coming to the level, and it's not that they won't be good players there, but I have seen ways for this game to be competitive, and maybe at receiver, Western Michigan's good enough, and maybe that Salopek kid, Jack Salopek, the redshirt freshman, is good enough. But you cannot, very rarely, as a team like Western Michigan or a Mid-American Conference team, come to an upper-tier Big Ten team, which I think most of us think Michigan State is, a top 5 or 6 Big Ten team for sure, right? Walk into their stadium and win by running the ball, shortening the game, and playing good defense. That works in your league, and I have no doubt and occasionally you get a special team. Western Michigan did it that final year of Fleck when they were, but even that team barely beat a Northwestern team that wasn't that good to open the season. And they got rolling a little bit, and when they got some confidence out of that, and by the end they hung with a good Wisconsin team in the Cotton Bowl. But I don't see this formula is a team that's going to threaten Michigan State. Doesn't mean Michigan State automatically covers the spread, because 22.5 is a lot of points. But I don't see this being a game that
So what you're saying is it can go either way.
No. I'm saying the spread can go either way.
Yeah.
I don't think the game can go either way.
Well, no shit. I'm talking about the spread. I only talk about the spread.
Right.
Right? So you're saying it could go either way.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing it's going to come down to is you get a redshirt freshman quarterback. Can he honestly not turn the ball over? They're going to put pressure on him. Are those receivers good? And maybe they are. Maybe Crooms is. And the thing about Western that should make people respect them is that the last couple kids they've had at receiver have been drafted higher than anybody Michigan State's had drafted at receiver in a long time. So it's not like they haven't put kids out there or difference makers or NFL kids. We've seen that. We've seen them have guys like that. They had a punt returner a few years ago that it was like, don't kick him the ball. It was pretty damn clear, right? You've seen a number of NFL caliber dudes that they've had, but I don't feel that this team has the dynamic to pull the upset. I do think they'll be good in the MAC, and there's nothing wrong. And I'll tell you this also, as fun as this is from a Michigan State perspective, and it's fun from a covering Michigan State perspective, the anticipation of the opener, there's no doubt. Like Friday, I will be excited about the game. But what is
So will Chad Latz.
So will Chad Latz.
Yeah.
It is also different, though, when you cover it from a Western Michigan perspective. It's almost like Michigan State playing Ohio State or Bama.
What?
The idea that you're taking a swing at something that's bigger than you. There's even more excitement. There's more buzz. I'm saying it's more fun from that perspective. And when he started talking, I just remembered covering teams that were going into Virginia in week 1 or going into, they played lots of places. But that is fun to see how those teams match up. I don't think they'll be physically overwhelmed. Unless this quarterback's the real deal and they've got more at receiver than I don't think they will cause massive problems for Michigan State and be able to play the type of mistake-free football that makes this a game in the fourth quarter. And we can eat my words.
So you heard it. Michigan State's covering that 22 and a hook.
I didn't say that.
He said it.
I like the 10-point teaser if you want to have some cash on Michigan State. Or just jump on the over 7.5 line for the season wins. And you have money on just the wins.
Week 1.
It's a good idea.
Maybe.
It's a really good idea.
It's impossible. There's no way. There's no way anyone is strong enough to fade week 1. No way. That's a gambler anyway.
It's very difficult to do because we're going to go into these games, including this game with Harry in a little bit, and you just get like Notre Dame 17.5 versus Ohio State. That is a great fade game. Do not touch that game.
Ohio State's going to hammer them.
You think by more than 17.5?
Yes.
Okay. Boy.
Hammer them.
Oh, I'm
talking like 48-13.
So that might be like a lock of the week for you, is what you're saying.
I guess, yeah, you would say so. Kneecapper already.
Okay.
Let's lose these already in week 1.
Okay. I respect that. Yeah, I have a game I really like that we're going to go over. I really like Arkansas.
Well, quit teasing the people and let's do it.
All right. Well, let's take a break here. We'll have Harry on, and we will pick the games here momentarily. Couch in the Room, presented by Skyman Premium Cannabis and our friends at Front 43 in Cask and Company.
Fire Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Sky Mint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Sky Mint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Sky Mint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Sky Mint Cannabis. You'll love this place.
Find Couch and the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch and the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Front 43 and Cask & Company. It is now time to pick the games presented by our friends at the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Joined now by the great Harry Gagnon from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, bestbetcorner.com and extrapoints.com. Harry, we always appreciate your time, and thanks for giving us more of it.
What's up, guys? How are you guys doing?
Well, football's back, so we're good.
Yeah.
We're in a good place.
Harry, is there any way that you would fade week one? We were talking about it earlier. Like, there's no way, because I'm sitting there looking at these games, and these are going to be all gut feel picks for me. So the gambler inside of me says no way, but is there any way that you sit out week one? No way, right?
No, well, look, last week was what would they call that last week?
Week zero.
Week zero, right? So now it's week one. I said don't get too crazy in week zero, and week one too. I've always said this. We'll get into this next week, but I always say week one of the NFL season is the toughest to bet. But also the first real week of college is difficult too, because you got so many of these jumbo-sized spreads, and you got to figure out if your team is going to roll this team. It really depends on a lot of different factors. So I would still bet it. Obviously, I'm not going to not bet it, but I would be careful in a lot of situations.
Yeah, it's just hard to read. You can think you think you know something and you don't know shit, and that's
says the guy that bets ping pong at 3 a.m. Be careful, he says.
Yeah, well, I'm not. Don't live like me. Don't do as I say.
Yeah.
Don't do as I do.
I don't know. It looks fun.
It
Harry's life looks pretty fun.
Well, Harry's life looks amazing. All right, so let's go through some of these games. Thursday night they start up in Penn State -3.5 at Purdue. Look, I like this Purdue team quite a bit. Penn State's whining about being on the road again. I think Purdue's a good long shot play to win the West Division. Give me the experienced quarterback and Jeff Brom on a home spread and as a home underdog. I will absolutely take that. I'm on Purdue. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, give me Purdue. You're getting 3 and a hook with a home game, and I like Purdue as well. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, guys, Cousin Sal on our Against All Odds podcast, Graham, he's big on Purdue this season, too. He likes them a lot. But I'm going to lean a little bit still here towards the Nittany Lions. John Clifford's back, 60 touchdowns last 3 seasons. Purdue's leading receiver, David Bells, with the Browns. They only had 7 rushing touchdowns all season last year. I think this is a close one. Make sure, even maybe if you want to buy the half to 3, I think this is a close one. But I think Penn State gets this game by around 4 to 7 points.
Already, Harry's against us. Yeah, this is where I get nervous. All right, game of some local interest. A team people think is going to be pretty good, Oklahoma State. against a Central Michigan team that might be all right too, plus 21.5. Look, props to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's played at CMU in other years. This is the sort of game that Oklahoma State's willing to play. CMU plus 21.5, though, I feel like it's bait. I feel like the 21.5 is bait. I'm on to you. I am going Oklahoma State here, even though I've seen this game play out closer than that. Jason, where are you?
I don't know, because Central Michigan did beat them in Stillwater, and I think Mike Gundy, with that mullet of his, is out for revenge. So give me Oklahoma State. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, you're right, Jay. I remember that. That was 2016, where it was a crazy ending, how it went down. Mason Rudolph was the quarterback of Oklahoma State. It really shouldn't have went down the way it did, but Central Michigan threw a penalty and a craziness, pulled that game out straight up in Stillwater. And I hear you, Jay, but I don't think Central Michigan's going to be that bad this year. And get that hook on 21. I think that's a game. This is what I was just saying. Don't take too much stock in this because it's a big spread. But I think Central Michigan gets the cover.
What about a teaser, boys?
I could see Oklahoma State on a teaser pushing it to 14.5 on a 7-pointer. And maybe that middle's in there where they win by 17 or 20. Yeah, definitely.
Sounds like a way to lose both bets, but
why not?
All right. We get to Friday night, and here's a game that I like a fair bit. Illinois plus 3 at Indiana. And, look, I don't think we learned a ton about Illinois against Wyoming last week.
We learned a lot about Wyoming, though.
We learned a lot about Wyoming last week.
Boy.
Indiana, it's a wait-and-see moment, but give me the team that's already played a game and that has that in them when I think these are two fairly even teams, a team getting points as well. I'm on Illinois here. I might even sprinkle on the money line. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, I like it, but it's going to be a fade for me. But if I had to pick here, give me Illinois plus the 3. What do you got, Harry?
Major, that was a nice win last week. Tommy DeVito, baby, ex-Syracuse Orange, 27 of 37 last week, 2 touchdowns. And I loved watching Chase. Chase Brown was fantastic, especially in the first half, running the ball for the Illini, 150 yards, 3 touchdowns. Give me the Illini, like you said, Graham. Team's already got a W and getting points. Give me it.
Finally, Harry is with us on one. That makes me feel a whole lot better than I was feeling before this. All right, the game that everybody's waiting for Friday night, Western Michigan plus 22.5 at MSU. Jason and I have talked about this a little bit. Neither one of us is we just had the play-by-play voice of Western on who talked about their defense and running game. 22.5 is a lot for what I think is a fairly seasoned Western Michigan team. And I'm going to go Western Michigan on this. The spread, I like it you get to a 10-point teaser. I love it. I like it in a teaser for MSU. I don't think Western Michigan's a threat to Michigan State for an upset. It's a lot of points for me to like Michigan State over 3 touchdowns. Where are you, Jason?
Oh, I'm sorry. Which game were we talking about?
Western Michigan State.
Oh God, yeah. I'm taking Michigan State all day. What do you got here?
Ooh, I'm going to jump on with you, Graham. I know Thorne's pretty good, plus 17 touchdown to pick ratio last year, but Walker's with the Seahawks, Nailor's with the Vikings. That's 2 awesome weapons not there that you got to fill in the holes here. I know it seems like Michigan State's got plenty of running backs to throw in there, but 22.5, give me more 3+ touchdowns. I'm taking Western Michigan.
And sorry for going all Lee Corso there. Sorry, I didn't know where we were in the show.
Yeah, that was not great. That was
my bad.
So is he ever going to retire?
He's going to die on the air, Harry.
Yeah.
You know what?
That's the way ESPN wants it.
Don't want to make fun about it, but geez, maybe. Right?
Well, we all die, Harry. I mean, we can make fun of it. I'm going to die too. I'm just saying they're trying to do.
Yeah. But
Lee Corso's family needs to step in.
Might be the deal.
Yeah.
So here's my advice on Western Michigan, Michigan State, though. If you want to play this game, especially if you want to take MSU, watch the live line because I think we will know quickly. Like Robin Hook, who we just had on the play-by-play voice of Western, talked a lot about Western Michigan's defense and their running game being really good, mid-American quality, and we'll know really quickly whether that defense is a problem for MSU or whether that running game is formidable against MSU. And if it's not, before the score changes a whole lot, after those first couple series, there'll be an opportunity to jump on MSU on the live line, and you can wind up something like what Western had at Michigan a year ago, where was it last year, where they wound up being a pretty good blowout. Like that sort of thing could absolutely happen with a young quarterback there. So pay attention early whether the Western Michigan defense looks like they're able to get off the field against Michigan State or haven't, and whether that running game is able to make any hay. And if they're not, then consider jumping on MSU on the lifeline. All right, Saturday, big game, Notre Dame plus 17.5 against Ohio State. Notre Dame's new coach is talking a lot of stuff about how they're going to use being an underdog in the locker room, and I love when coaches talk about using point spreads in the locker rooms as a motivation. So for that, I do like Notre Dame. It's a lot of points. This is a total stay away from me because I think it's too many points, but I'm not betting against Ohio State at home at night, but give me a very unconfident Notre Dame bet here. Jason, where are you?
So Marcus Freeman doesn't like the spread. He's offended by it. Like, what would he set this line at? It's at Ohio State. They have a problem at quarterback. We don't know about it. So I love this game, Harry. I like Ohio State given the 17 a hook. I think they blow them out at night, at home, at the Horseshoe. What do you got?
I do, too. Inexperience at quarterback for Notre Dame. They've got a pretty tough schedule this year, too. If you include their neutral field games, they got 6 games on the road. That's a ton for an Irish team, for anybody really in college. And I think this Ohio State team, especially, we know what they're capable of. We know the weapons they have. Stroud, 44 touchdowns, just 6 picks last year. Unbelievable. And I think they learned a lesson last year when they got tripped up in the opening game against Oregon, and now they have the Irish. That's not going to happen again. Ohio State's big.
Boy, okay. See, now, but I already said I'm staying away, but you guys are talking me into maybe. And here's the problem.
No, Harry talked you into it. You don't care what I say.
That's true. That's a night game, though, right? That's a night game. Hold on. Give me some Hoff. Let me see if that's a night game. Hold on.
Ooh, hold on. How about some ABC college football theme?
That'll do it. Let me find out what time. 7:30 p.m. 7:30.
Wait, that's why I played music? I could have told you that. It's not 7:30.
I just said that's a night game, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 7:30. Yeah, boy, that. The other thing is,
Corso.
I'll probably be drunk by then too. So I'm definitely going to have money on it. So we'll see what happens. Colorado State plus 30.5 at Michigan, and I like Michigan here. I think Colorado State is not very good. Beyond that, I think Michigan's, in some ways, by having a quarterback who's got something to prove, you're asking somebody to run up the score in week 1. 30.5 is a big number. I really don't like this Colorado State team at all. I've read bits and pieces about it. You can read tea leaves on stuff. I don't think it's going to be a very good team. And I think Michigan's gonna want to make a point. It's a lot of points. Give me Michigan, though. Where are you, Jason?
Yeah, it's easy for me. Michigan, the 30 and a hook. I'm not really scared about it. I think they win like 44-0. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, I agree, guys. Harbaugh resigned. Michigan won their opener last year by 33. No Haskins, but no problem. You just fill that hole with Blake Corum with 1,100 combined yards last year, 12 total touchdowns. And the Rams quarterback from last year is not there. He's gone. So new quarterback for Colorado State. Plus, their best receiver, who was their tight end, McBride, is with the Arizona Cardinals. This year he was a second-round pick. So not a lot of weapons, I don't think, for Colorado State. Michigan rolls big.
All right. Another great game, potentially, or big brand matchup. Oregon, Georgia. And Oregon plus 17. And that game's at Georgia, correct? That's not a neutral site?
3:30, yes.
3:30.
At Georgia.
Boy, this is interesting because Georgia loses a fair bit from what they had, but they recycle it, and I just don't know what Oregon is. Coaching change, all that. This is a total stay away from me. If I had to pick, though, give me the dominant team at home, Georgia, making a statement. I'll go there. Where are you, Jason?
I got to take Oregon. You're giving me a 17. I think that's kind of a heavy number for Georgia. I mean, Oregon's good up front on both sides. I'm going to do some coach speak, but I really believe that. So give me Oregon.
But you hated Ohio. You hated Notre Dame at Ohio State in a similar number. You think Oregon's that much better than Notre Dame?
I do. I think Oregon covers that. I think Oregon plus 17.
Okay.
17.5 in some books. What do you got here?
Yeah, Jay, I'm with you here. Like I just mentioned, Oregon shocked Ohio State in their opener last year, and I'm down on Georgia a little bit last year. I was all over them last year, and I had them in the national championship, which was great, but they lost a ton, like you mentioned, Graham, a ton of players to the NFL. I don't know if Stetson Bennett can pull the magic like he did last year, and I think this is a ton of points here for an Oregon team who has a little bit something. Bro, you mentioned new coach, but boy, they looked awful in their 2 games against Utah last year in the Pac-12 final. They were bad too. I think they want to rebound here, and I think this is just too many. I just don't think Georgia Look, I just don't think they have the overall. Well, they lost, like I said, a ton of players, a lot of offensive players in the NFL. And I know Kirby Smart will just reload, but it's not that easy all the time. And I think with 17.5 here in game one, Oregon covers.
All right, last game of the week here for us, Cincinnati +6 at Arkansas. I really like Arkansas's program. I like their coaching staff. I like the way things are headed. Inside of a touchdown, I'm not saying Cincinnati can't sustain it as a really good program, but this is at Arkansas, I believe, too. Yeah, give me Arkansas. And Jason, where are you?
There's something fishy with this line, though, right? It's only at 6. I mean, I think
Cincinnati's a playoff team.
Yeah,
that's
but
why.
they don't. At quarterback, there's a question at quarterback who they're going to go with, and I like KJ Jefferson for Arkansas. I just think 6 is a little low, but there's something fishy. But give me Arkansas because I really like it. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, maybe this is this is the game. Maybe this is the game you tease, a 6-point teaser with Arkansas. But I'm gonna lean towards the Hogs as well. You mentioned KJ Jefferson, 21 touchdowns, just 4 picks last year. He can run the ball too, 6 rushing touchdowns. Big fan of linebacker Bumper Poole for the Hogs. He's a big fan of our Against All Odds podcast and the Extra Points Podcast Network. And you mentioned, like, a lot of players lost on the Cincinnati side as well. Desmond Ritter's with the Falcons. Jerome Ford, running back, who had 20 touchdowns last year, is with the Browns. And their best receiver, Alec Pierce, is with the Colts. A lot of holes here for Cincinnati. And I do hear you, Jay. I think this line should probably be 7, but maybe Cincinnati, it's only 6 based on what they've been able to accomplish the past couple of years. So they're getting some credit here. But I still am going to go with Arkansas to cover the spread and definitely on a teaser or at least a money line parlay.
And I thought it would be 7.5 because I just think Cincinnati's not Alabama like Graham thinks they are, where they can just reload at quarterback like that. So I really like this Arkansas team.
The spread jumped at me as well, which scares me a little bit because when spreads jump at me, it's probably time not to, not to actually take them. But anyway, is there anything else, Harry, that you really like this week or that you were on?
I do, and I'm going to use this on our last show for the week on Against All Odds when we do our Sharp Tank, when we give Sal our best bets, and he chooses who he likes best. And last week, my play was the New Mexico State Nevada game under 49.5. I think I gave that to you guys a little bit, or else I definitely told you, Jay, about it, and it just came in perfectly. It went exactly to plan, and I like these smaller schools. You can find some of these games that are just, they stand out to you. And one of them to me is this UTSA, Texas San Antonio, Houston game. Both sides of UTSA, Texas San Antonio was tremendous, especially in the second half of the season, put up plenty of numbers, plenty of points, and both sides, Houston, big offensive team too, all sort of starters returning on both sides. Give me UTSA and Houston over 61.
Conference USA.
I love it. And a game also for MSU fans to pay attention to. Kent State, which is, I think, going to be a middle-of-the-pack Mid-American Conference team, is getting 23 points at Washington. How easily Washington takes care of them, I think, will tell us a little bit about what that game might be for Michigan State a couple weeks out in Seattle. Jason, is there anything else that you're real high on this week?
The games that we talked about are some of the game, like the Arkansas game. I really like Michigan a lot. There's going to be some parlays flying, and I'm going to have some spite bets for week 2 ready for us. So.
All right, I have some Premier League action for people, and I'll get. I don't want to call things can't miss parlays anymore. I think at some point once we get a feel for things, we'll do can't miss parlays again because that was fun last year with me and Jason trying to pick them for Harry. So maybe we'll start that next week when the NFL games are part of the action. But this week, I really like. If by Thursday, I really like Arsenal -1 if you can get it at home against Aston Villa. I think that's a great potential play. And then I like over the weekend Nottingham Forest, basically even money on the money line, so they need to win. If they tie, it's a loss at home against a bad Bournemouth team that just fired their coach. Nottingham Forest, I think, is on the verge of finding it a little bit and being a little closer to the middle of the pack of the Premier League. Better club at home against Bournemouth. That is my Premier League lock of the week. Anytime you bet against Bournemouth, it's Bournemouth, whatever you call them, smart to do.
Peacock.
Harry, you are a beautiful man, and I know you had a busy night, and we very much appreciate you making the time for us.
Thanks, Harry.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. And by the way, guys, I just want to say, Grant, listen, that West Ham game that I gave out last week, plus 230, winner, and the other one should have probably won too. So not too shabby. My buddy Trevor in Florida, who's a soccer guru like you, Graham, he's been on for the past couple of weeks when we've given out some picks.
I got 2 words for you. Fuck Chelsea. All right? These guys have been just screwing me left and right. They're too good to bet against them. They're too unreliable to bet on, which makes them absolutely irrelevant. They might as well be in League 2 or the National League, out of the English football altogether. Chelsea is dead to me as the Lions are to Jason.
Well, let me ask you one question real quick, Graham. When you gave out Man City and they were down 2-0, were you sweating it?
I was sweating it a little. But they've been down. There was some amazing stat. They've been down like in their last 5 games and won most of them. I mean, they're an incredible team. I mean, there are very few teams. If I was ever trying to convince somebody like Jason to like soccer, Man City is who I would say to watch, because it's not going to be 0-0. They may be down 2-0, and they will hit you with 4 goals in 20 minutes, and it's incredible to watch how they do it. So that is. But yes, I was absolutely sweating it. Harry, we'll talk to you next week. We'll do the NFL games as well.
Can't wait, boys. See ya. Good luck this week.
That is the great Harry Gagnon from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, Best Bet Corner, and ExtraPoints.com. We appreciate Front 43 and Casking Company. Great place to watch a game, great place to get a meal, great place to get a beer. We appreciate Skymint. Go to skymint.com for location information and specials. And if it's your first time there, use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off. Just some fantastic deals always going on at Skymint as well. We appreciate Firekeepers and Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app today. Play the games we're playing. That's where we get our lines, on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. We'll be back with the Twitter question show with our Groovy Donut Twitter questions on Thursday. Jason, good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.